Unbelievable prayer restores the prodigal son's spirit in a shocking journey of redemption. Few knew what truly happened that night. Under a starlit sky, the air was thick with tension. The village, usually alive with laughter and chatter, held its breath. Whispers spread quickly, tales of a son who abandoned his family. Stories of wild living, of heartbreak and despair, filled the streets. The prodigal son had returned, changed yet unchanged, and his presence sent ripples through the gathering crowd. People strained to see. Was this truly the boy who once held promises of youth and joy? He stood tall, yet his eyes were hollow, shadows haunting his face. Had he wandered too far, lost in the darkness? His tattered clothes hung about him like a shroud, and each step forward seemed to echo a silent plea for forgiveness. The distance he traveled was not merely measured in miles, but in a lifetime of choices. The father, a figure of dignity and grace, looked on with a mixture of love and weariness. How many times had he prayed for this moment? How many nights had he pored over the stars, wondering if his son would ever find his way home? Rumors swirled, some dared to say it was a miracle. That prayer had summoned the very essence of hope, stirring the deadened spirit of the boy. But how could faith reach one so lost? The villagers exchanged glances, bewilderment mixed with a tinge of envy. Did they dare believe in such power? There was weight in the air, as if the heavens were holding their breath. Why had it taken so long for this reunion? What unseen forces had shaped this path of return? Tension mounted with every heartbeat. The father's hands trembled, the lump in his throat growing tighter. Those watching seemed frozen, awaiting a grand revelation, the turning point. Would the son kneel before his father, or would pride keep him from true redemption? As the moment stretched, questions hung in the air like thick fog. The villagers whispered amongst themselves, voices raised in disbelief and skepticism. Does he deserve forgiveness? Should he be welcomed back? Shadows flickered in minds, contemplating the gravity of acceptance. And in those breaths, the fight between judgment and compassion danced painfully. And then, just as the weight of silence became unbearable, the boy took a step closer. A gasp rippled through the crowd, but the atmosphere shifted, charged with something electric. Would the plea for redemption be articulated in words, or would it be an unspoken vow of change? What truly lay ahead for the prodigal son? Could the flicker of prayer's light shine through the darkness that swallowed him whole? With the night still aching with anticipation, the stage was set for a transformation like none other. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button. It really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. As the son took a tentative step forward, a hush enveloped the crowd. The father, heart racing and breathless, felt the weight of each gaze settle upon him. Was he ready for the scrutiny, the hopeful anticipation, or even the doubts woven into the fabric of the night? Love surged within him, and yet, like an unyielding tide, the hurt faced them both, an old companion that clung to memories of sorrow, of trust broken but also of dreams held dear. The villagers strained to hear the exchanges that might follow. The son's lips parted, and for a moment, words hung suspended as if waiting for divine inspiration. He took a deep breath, and the scent of earth and distant fires filled his senses, grounding him in the present. "Father," he began, the word both a plea and an acknowledgment of the years lost. "I have sinned against heaven and before you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son." His voice trembled, the echoes of regret woven into his confession. Yet behind him, in the eyes of those witnessing this fragile moment, storms raged. Some whispered bitter judgments about squandered blessings, the luxury of forgiveness too heavy a burden for those who remained steadfast. Others placed hope where doubt threatened to take root, their hearts yearning for the Father's embrace, a sign that love can indeed conquer despair. The Father remained still, his heart an ocean of compassion, but within it swirled the abyss of grief. He searched desperately for the right response. Instinctively, he stepped closer, crossing the divide forged by years of absence. Was this act of movement a sign of awakening or a surrender to the tempest? At this pivotal moment, the air thickened with the unspoken fears of what lay ahead. Would this reunion mend what had been shattered, or would it unravel under the weight of the past? In those fragile seconds, a flicker of understanding blossomed in the Father's mind. Could the act of forgiveness be as monumental as the journey taken? Before he could respond, a figure emerged from the Shadowsa brother, age beyond his years, eyes filled with a mixture of confusion and anger. What brings him home? The brother erupted, his voice slicing through the once still night like a piercing arrow. He took what was yours, squandered it, and now returns to claim a place at your table? What is to be done with the pain he caused? At that moment, the father's affections, deep-rooted and unfaltering, wavered ever so slightly, as his heart weighed the truth of his son's return against the indignation of the brother. A delicate balance hung in the air between the desire for harmony and the tempest of familial loyalty. Each word now had the power to heal or to scar deeper. As the light waned and darkness wrapped around them, a deeper mystery emerged, truth not just for them, but for all who dared to observe. Could redemption indeed sprout from the ashes of betrayal? What lessons awaited in the tangled roots of their shared past? Could forgiveness truly stretch across the chasms of hurt, offering a future reborn? Or would it fade away like a distant star lost in the night sky? With the night heavy upon them, the struggle intertwined with the spirit of forgiveness beckoned to be resolved, leaving the question lingering in the stillness. What will become of their story, now that the paths have crossed once again? As the tension hung in the air like a dark shroud, the father turned his gaze towards his eldest son, whose words lingered like an uninvited guest. The firelight danced in the creases of the brother's face, illuminating the deep furrows carved by years of duty and unfulfilled expectations. The father's heart ached, knowing that this moment was not solely about the return of his wayward child, but also a reckoning with the son who had remained. Esteemed son, the father began, his voice steady yet imbued with the vulnerability of a man facing the storm. What you say holds weight, but so does the heart from which it comes. This brother of yours, once lost and now found, bears the chains of his choices, but they are bonds that forgiveness can break. What do you feel in your heart as we stand at this crossroads? The brother's fury began to crack, revealing a vulnerability beneath. He has returned, yes, but only to take again what he believes was his. Do you not see the injustice? While I labored faithfully, he squanders everything you gave him. What am I toil in your fields? What my heart? Each word echoed the loneliness of duty, a longing for recognition that had festered amidst the pursuit of righteousness. Around them, the villagers listened closer now, the weight of their lives echoing in the words exchanged. Whispers danced like fireflies, illuminating the edges of hope and doubt. Would this family, fractured by disappointment, find a way back to unity? The father, striving to navigate the churning waters of their relationship, felt the stirrings of a deeper mystery. It dawned upon him that true reconciliation hinged not only on acknowledging guilt, but also on understanding the layers of pain bound in love. My beloved sons, he spoke, eyes glistening with sincerity, we must unveil the truths hidden in our hearts. Forgiveness is not a simple gift. It demands our willingness to see beyond ourselves, to intertwine our stories, however painful. Exhaling the weight he held, he reached out to both sons, hands extended in a gesture of unity. Let us not view this reunion as the reclaiming of one, but the rebuilding of all. Together, can we unearth the seeds of compassion beneath the rubble of resentment? The younger son felt the tide of shame swell within him, yet a flicker of hope arose at the father's words. He had expected scorn, Yet here was an invitation to begin anew, to share the burden of healing. But could he bear the scars of his past openly? Was redemption as simple as the breath drawn in reconciliation? The eldest son stepped back, uncertainty clouding his thoughts. His emotions, like a tempest, crashed against the need for order in his life. Would he be able to embrace the idea of forgiven transgressions when his own heart had felt the sting of neglect? As the night deepened around them, silence fell, and the air thickened with unspoken challenges. The father, sensing the fragility of this moment, knew that their journey had only just begun. He marveled at the magnitude of their collective fears and hopes, pondering how their individual narratives would intertwine. The stars twinkled above, silent witnesses to the turmoil beneath, while an unanswerable question loomed like a flickering flame in the darkness. Would the embrace of forgiveness stand strong enough to weave the threads of their lives into a tapestry of harmony, or would they remain tethered to the past, forever seeking but never finding the solace of peace? As the first hint of dawn began to blush across the horizon, the world transformed. Shadows receded, revealing the rugged contours of a land, laden with both promise and heartache. The father stood between his two sons, a bridge fashioned from love, yet fragile with uncertainty. The stillness of the morning weighed heavy, charged with the potential for revelation. "Come, let us walk," the father urged, guiding his sons toward a tranquil grove adjacent to their home. The air was crisp, scented with the dew of new beginnings, and the distant call of a morning bird echoed like the whispered yearnings of their souls. In nature, we find the rhythm of grace. Let us reflect not just on what has been lost, but on what can be grown anew. The younger son, laden with the remnants of his past choices, felt the weight of guilt like a cloak upon him. Each step felt heavy, yet there was something inviting in the father's Tonia promise of acceptance. "Father, do you truly believe that the wellspring of forgiveness can wash away the stains of my actions? I fear that no amount of repentance can unearth the despair my choices gave rise to." The father replied, resting a hand on his shoulder. Forgiveness often begins with self-acceptance. It calls for understanding the pain within you, as well as the love that binds us as a family. It is in confronting our fears that we find the strength to lift one another up. His eyes met those of his youngest son, and there, amidst the vulnerability, lay a path leading back to hope. Meanwhile, the eldest son lingered, grappling with his own tumultuous feelings. His heart, though tethered to duty, pulled towards resentment. "I have borne the weight of this family's legacy alone," while he ran from his responsibilities. "What does our father see in him that he does not recognize in me?" His voice, once tinged with anger, softened to a whisper of disbelief. "Am I not deserving of the same love?" The father turned to him, sensing the delicate threads of doubt that wove through his thoughts. "Son, your toil has not gone unnoticed, yet love cannot be measured by duty alone. Each of us embodies the essence of role and return, yet we all commence as wanderers in our own ways. Can you see that love expands and contracts, adapting to the tales we each bear?" As they wandered deeper into the grove, the path opened to a clearing adorned with wildflowers. Sunlight poured through the leaves like grace embodied. It was here that the father dared to plant a seed of hope in both their hearts. Let us ground ourselves in gratitude. For every sacrifice we make, there exists a triumph waiting to blossom. What can we offer each other from the depths of our hearts to sow these seeds together? The youngest son knelt, fingertips grazing the earth, feeling the raw promise of life bursting forth. "I have nothing but my tears and a heart yearning for renewal. Can these be enough?" He murmured, as if afraid of the answer. "They are everything, dear son," the father assured him, the warmth of his presence enveloping the moment. "Tears can water the earth, and from that very soil, resilience can thrive. Your past does not cage your spirit. It has merely been a chapter in your story." As they stood together, the eldest son watched the conversation unfold, struck by the transformative power of acknowledgement. "But father, He interjected, "If my brother's return restores his spirit, what of my own?" His voice now held both yearning and confusion. The father approached him with heart wide open, pushing gently at the door between them. "Consider this. The love we bear for one another is not a finite resource. It invites restoration, not just for the fallen, but also for the steadfast. Can we learn to place our wounds in the light, transforming them into pathways towards reconciliation?" A heavy silence followed, as the weight of unmade decisions and youthful disappointments settled within them. The sun climbed higher, illuminating their unspoken fears and hopes alike. In the chorus of rustling leaves and warm golden rays, a fragile yet luminous truth began to unfurl. Could it be that in their acceptance of one another's pain, they might forge a bond stronger than blood and duty alone? As they each contemplated their places in the tapestry of family, a lingering question hung in the air. Would they dare to weave the disparate threads of their lives into something that could truly reflect the entirety of their shared journey, or would they remain defined by their separations and scars? As the morning sun ascended, casting gentle light over the grove, the air thickened with an expectancy. The father stood with his arms outstretched, inviting his sons closer, as if to draw them into an embrace that could encompass all their fears and hopes. The playful dance of the leaves fluttered around them like scattered blessings, beckoning them to reflect on the nature of forgiveness and love. "Close your eyes," the father gently instructed, "and breathe in the promise of this new day. In this stillness, let us seek the deeper truth of our lives." The sons obeyed, surrendering to the moment. The memories surged, intertwining joy and pain. Yet within that space, an unexpected warmth enveloped them, a reminder of the unending mercy that lingered like the morning mist. "Oh, you feel it?" the father whispered, his voice weaving through the quiet. "The world spins in cycles of loss and grace. Every dawn brings with it the chance to start anew." His words flowed into the hearts of his sons, each syllable acting as a gentle balm over their wounds. Yet deep inside, the younger son wrestled with the shadows of his past. "Father, how can I move forward when the echoes of my mistakes haunt me like ghosts?" He confessed, his heart swelling. "Can I dare to envision a different destiny when the path behind me is fraught with errors?" The father opened his eyes, his gaze steady and encouraging. "Each of us bears sacred stories, woven from the threads of our choices. You must recognize that the past, though it shapes you, does not have the final say. The journey toward healing begins with a truth buried beneath regret. Are you willing to unearth it?" As these words settled, the elder son, despite his quiet struggles, felt an urge to voice his own heartache. "But what if the love you offer him is taken as a dismissal of my own contributions? Can I be seen in the light of your compassion without being overshadowed?" His brow furrowed, uncertainty gripping him like chains. "Will I forever remain in the background of his triumph?" "Ah, dear son," the father replied, his voice a gentle caress. "You are not bound to remain in a place of envy. The light that shines upon him does not dim yours. When we walk together in humility, love amplifies rather than divides. Only by extending your heart can you relish in the rebirth of joy. Can you see that each act of grace is an invitation for all?" In response, the elder's heart softened, though the doubts still lingered like shadows. He scanned the clearing, a sacred canvas upon which life unfolded anew. Underneath the layers of his resentment, a thought began to sprout. What if his brother's journey could ignite a transformation within him, too? As silence enveloped them again, the morning air shimmered, filled with potential. "This morning could be a prayer," the father murmured, "not only for healing, but also for a renewed bond among us. Let's take a moment to lay bare what we hold within. A prayer shared can be the very seed of our redemption." Kneeling upon the earth, the young son felt the pulse of life all around him. "I offer my heart," he declared with shaking breath, "but I need guidance to rekindle my spirit. Can my imperfections be transformed into something beautiful?" The father put his hand upon his back, reassuring him with the assurance that even fragile hearts held the seeds of redemption. In vulnerability, we find strength. Let your prayer be a cry for the courage to embrace love, not just for yourself, but for one another. The elder son, still standing apart, felt the weight of this sacred moment draw him closer. And I, too, join in this prayer, yearning to understand where love intersects with my service, he said, his voice a blend of confession and request. What will it take for me to grasp this love without fear? As they shared this reflective prayer, the air shimmered with a palpable energy, the unformed possibilities swirling around them like glimmering dust in the golden sunlight. In that intersection between doubt and hope, a question lingered: would they discover the profound depths of love that could heal them, or would the journey of prayer reveal deeper divisions they had yet to confront? With the sun climbing high, illuminating the grove in rich hues of gold, an uneasy quiet fell upon the brothers, tempered by the weight of their heartfelt prayers. Each breath felt sacred, carrying the echoes of their yearning. The ground beneath them pulsed with life, holding the stories of countless seekers who had come before, each navigating their own labyrinth of doubt and despair. The father, sensing the spiritual tide shifting, turned to his sons with eyes that shimmered with wisdom. Prayers, my beloveds, can unveil the unseen paths we tread. They awaken parts of us long buried. What if our spoken words can stir the very essence of change? His voice resonated in the hearts of his sons like the distant thunder before rain, promising renewal, yet hinting at turmoil. The younger son considered his father's words deeply. What if our prayers, while calling for mercy, also awaken a reckoning within us? His heart thudded against his chest like a bird eager to flee a cage of its making. Can we truly confront the fullness of who we are, embracing both the gifts and the shadows? The elder brother cast a wary glance at his sibling, suspicion clouding his gaze. But do our truths, laid bare, not risk tearing apart what is fragile? He questioned, his voice laced with both apprehension and hope. What if the raw honesty we bring forth drives us further apart rather than draws us closer? Can vulnerability truly be redemptive? The father stepped closer, placing a hand atop the elder son's shoulder, grounding him as if to say that the journey they embarked upon was not one to be taken lightly. Embrace the uncertainty, my son. In this sacred dialogue, both joy and conflict may arise. However, understanding flourishes in the space where we confront our fears. Perhaps therein lies the beauty, the learning, the shared burdens. Are we willing to meet each other, not in idolized perfection, but in our naked truths? The grove around them held its breath, the air thick with anticipation. Each brother was left pondering a nature of communion woven intricately into the fabric of their struggles. As silence lingered, they felt the gentle breeze turning to a whisper, beckoning them to explore the essence of their hearts. The younger son drew upon an interior strength. I am ready to face the shadows that cling to me, he stated with newfound resolve. Let my mistakes no longer be chains, but rather lessons that guide me toward a fuller life, that I wish to understand love, not as a ledger of accomplishments or shortcomings, but as a lavish gift, the elder son added. What sacrifices will it demand from me? How do I redefine my worth in the light of grace, gained not through merit, but simply by being? The father inhaled deeply, recognizing the shifting tides within his sons. Love, my dear children, is not without cost. It demands relinquishing self-preserving instincts and surrendering to the energy that binds us. Each of you harbors a longing for connection, yet it is essential that you understand that love thrives in honest exchanges. Can you invite that love to flourish, even when it feels uncomfortable? With this revelation, the morning light took on a deep vibrancy, as if the very heavens were listening intently. The brothers, now at the crossroads of emotion, felt both exhilarated and terrified. Could they truly step into the unknown realms of their truths? As the golden sun began its slow arc across the sky, the atmosphere thickened, laden with unspoken revelations. Will we summon the courage to confront what lies within us? The younger son pondered aloud. Or will the shadows of our past craft insurmountable walls between us? Thus, with hearts abstracted, yet yearning for clarity, their journey continued. In that moment of uncertainty, a new question arose, echoing through the grove like a guide to their spirits. What would it take to traverse from conflict to understanding, unveiling the power of love to bind their hearts as sacred brothers? In the hushed stillness of the grove, the air seemed to shimmer with an energy that none could quite grasp. The father, sensing the overtones of their unearthing desires, looked toward the horizon where the sun lazily dipped, casting long shadows that danced upon the earth. This place holds secrets woven deep within its roots. His voice softened. Maybe our true journeys lie not only in the prayers we utter aloud, but also in the silent ones whispered deep within our spirits. The elder brother, seeking clarity, asked, if we pray to awaken our truths, what if those truths lead us to darker places? What if the answers we find only amplify our burdens? His brow furrowed with worry, and he clenched his fists, wrestling with the notion that digging too deep may unearth chaos rather than peace. Maybe the younger son offered, a glimmer of insight flickering in his eyes. There is a courage in wavering. Our hearts long to know both the joy of grace and the depth of despair. Each tear shed may be a sacrifice, but perhaps it will nourish the ground for which we grow. The words flowed like a stream, igniting a spark of hope against the encroaching shadows. Their father nodded appreciatively. Indeed, my sons, sacred revelations often emerge from the most tumultuous upheavals. Embrace the discomfort. It may be the very catalyst that allows you to emerge anew. Consider this, he continued, his tone becoming earnest and reflective. When we find ourselves at the brink between despair and hope, we may discover a divine presency and invitation to reshape our identities. Who might you become if you truly surrender to this divine dance? The younger son lost himself in contemplation, pieces of his past swirling like leaves caught in a gust of wind. But do our past actions not tether us to guilt? How can I step forward when I carry memories that linger like shadows behind me? His spirit weighed down by the echoes of missteps and longing. He grappled with the fibrous threads of his own history. Is it possible, the elder brother interjected thoughtfully, that our prayers may not only seek forgiveness, but also ask for the strength to forgive ourselves? We bear the scars of our journeys, and they may lead us to understanding and compassion. What if the essence of forgiveness lies not simply in absolution, but in the grace to embrace our entire selves, the flawed, the lost, the radiant? Their father's gaze held tender resolution. Ah, my children, therein rests the essence of love. When we dare allow ourselves to see the whole of who we are, the radiant light intertwined with the shadows, we engage with a profound truth. However, the path is not easily trodden. Are you together ready to walk it, hand in hand, even through the wilderness of each other's brokenness? The brothers exchanged glances, the weight of their desires and fears illuminating the space between them. The air thickened with unspoken agreements and uncertainties. They felt a swell of possibility, but also the clear understanding that love requires movement beyond mere words. An unexpected rustling of leaves broke the reverie, and as they turned in that direction, a gentle deer appeared, looking toward them with eyes wide in innocence. The creature stood, untainted and pure, embodying a spirit of peace and vulnerability. It was as if nature itself echoed back their longing, reflecting the unadulterated beauty that can exist when one is unguarded. With hearts drawn toward the creature, the younger brother whispered, "Are we willing to let our defensiveness fall away? Much like this doe, trusting that what lies ahead may be gentle and nurturing?" His voice trembled with hope. As silence enveloped them once more, it dawned on them that within their uncertainties lay the seeds of the choice to move from fear to courage and from estrangement to connection. This was an invitation into the wild, uncharted territory of their souls, filled with the promise of growth. What depths of understanding might they discover by merely inviting vulnerability into their midst? Would the hope they sought be realized in the surrendering of their shields? The grove whispered on in the backdrop, echoing the pulse of their hearts, leaving each of them pondering the true essence of faith. Were they ready to listen to the soft murmurings of their spirit? The twilight deepened as the brothers stood in the grove, the air thick with anticipation and the scent of earth after a long-awaited rain. The gentle deer remained, embodying a stillness that enveloped them, inviting their hearts to reflect. The shadows moved like whispers among the trees, urging them to delve deeper into their shared journey. "Father," the elder brother began, his voice quiet but firm, "what is the nature of this faith we seek? How can we trust in something unseen when our past has left us with scars?" The father reached out, placing his hand gently on the elder's shoulder. "Faith is a bridge we build, my son. It is not a claim of certainty, but a willingness to step forward into the unknown. It asks us to trust the process, even when we cannot see the destination. Like the roots of this very grove, faith reaches underground, intertwining with our burdens and nurturing new life above." The younger brother nodded, intrigued. But what if faith leads us to confront our pain? What if it asks us to face the very shadows we dread? "Ah, my child," their father replied, his tone both soft and earnest. "To confront our pain can be a sacred act. The darkness we fear holds lessons, just as light can blind us to the truths we must embrace. Remember, the process of healing often finds its origins in the depths of our sorrow. It is not meant to destroy, but to resurrect." The deer moved closer, a creature of grace. In its presence, the brothers felt a flicker of hope ignite within their hearts, an urging to confront their pasts. "Perhaps," the younger brother said, "the deer symbolizes the purity of our intentions. Can we, too, move forward with that same innocence, trusting that something greater will be revealed?" "Yet, trust requires surrender," the elder brother countered, his brow still knitted in concern. "What if we are met with rejection instead of acceptance? What if our journeys lead us to more loss, instead of the reunion we desire?" "It is here that courage lies," their father interjected, his voice echoing through the grove. "To enter the vulnerability of connection even in the face of fear. Recall the tales of old, how men of faith often journeyed into uncertainty. They grappled not only with their own darkness, but also the darkness of others." His eyes glinted with wisdom. In their willingness to love again, despite their wounds, they found expansive grace. The silence enveloped them, thick with contemplation as the brothers wrestled with the duality of fear and hope. As the sun finally dipped below the horizon, casting the grove into darkness, the younger brother felt a stirring within, a yearning to rise from past failures and embrace the unknown. "Father, if we were to face this journey together, would it not be wise to seek the heart of forgiveness first?" "But how do we begin?" he asked, his voice trembling with sincerity. "The journey of forgiveness begins with honesty," their father replied. "It requires us to look at our flawed selves. Pray, not merely for the ability to forgive others, but for the strength to forgive yourself, to see past your transgressions and recognize the possibility for renewal." Just then, the deer turned and bounded gracefully into the shadows, as if guiding them forward. The grove filled with the sound of rustling leaves, harmonizing with their unsteady breaths, as uncharted paths unfolded before them. The brothers exchanged glances, understanding that the call to journey was one of divine mystery. With courage slowly blooming in their chests, the elder brother asked, "What if our journey leads us to encounters we cannot fathom? What if, in seeking forgiveness, we also uncover truths about ourselves and each other that shake our very foundations?" The father smiled softly, knowing the question held both trepidation and wonder. "Indeed, my sons, every step could unearth hidden layers of your spirits. Each revelation carries the potential to transform, to reshape your identities. The true essence of faith lies in your willingness to embrace what unfolds, the beauty held within the complexity. As they stood in the encroaching darkness, a profound stillness washed over them, and the heartbeat of the universe pulsed in harmony with their own. With hands clasped, they felt the weight of their choices and the freedom embodied in surrender. What lengths would they go to confront the darkness that intertwined with their journeys? Would they find strength in each other, rooted in trust, as they navigated the winding paths leading toward the light? The grove remained patient, listening, waiting for their next steps, and the air hummed with a promise they were not alone. As dawn broke over the grove, the first light of day filtered through the branches, casting a golden hue upon the earth. The brothers stirred from their restless slumber, the essence of the previous night's conversation hanging in the air like mist, fragile yet pressing. They arose with the unified desire to begin their journey anew, a fresh page in a story laden with possibilities. Today, the father said, his voice gentle yet resolute, "We will walk toward the village, a place where many hearts reside, and where forgiveness often feels like a distant dream. Let us share our burdens there, and seek the wisdom gathered over time in the hearts of our kin." The brothers nodded in agreement, fueled by the resolve that had blossomed within them. As they made their way through the grove, the younger brother glanced back, catching sight of the deer momentarily standing at the edge, its eyes shimmering with a mysterious knowing. He smiled softly, feeling as if the creature was urging him onward. Upon reaching the village, the aroma of baked bread and the distant sounds of laughter filled the air, contrasting with the weight of uncertainty that danced in their hearts. Each step was a deliberate act of bravery, resonating with the teachings their father had imparted. The elder brother led them to a modest courtyard where villagers gathered, sharing stories and laughter under the warm sun. Yet, within him stirred a question he dared not voice. Would they be welcomed by those they had wronged? Would their past actions cast shadows upon their intentions? "My brothers," he murmured, as they paused just outside the circle of familiar faces, the fears of rejection loomed large here. What if they see us not as we wish to be seen? What if their opinions of our past haunt us still? Their father touched his shoulder, offering reassurance. "Life is filled with uncertainties, my son. Yet, it is often in the vulnerability of our truths that we find connection. They may see the past, but it is our present that speaks of our journey toward reconciliation. Let us approach in openness." With a deep breath, the brothers stepped into the courtyard, their hearts thudding like drums of war. As soon as they entered, conversation softened, eyes turned towards them, some filled with curiosity, others with mingled hurt and recognition. The atmosphere shifted, as if the air bore witness to their shared history, laden with both hurt and healing. "Is it truly you?" An old friend called out softly, her voice shaky and filled with longing. The familiar face ignited a swell of conflicting emotions within the brothers. Yes, the younger brother spoke, gathering courage. "It is us, and we come seeking healing, our hearts laid bare for forgiveness. We wish to mend what was frayed." Whispers rippled through the crowd, a blend of disbelief and hope. With each heartbeat, the brothers felt the weight of the moment, how intricate the threads of their past had woven their lives together and apart. An elder of the village stepped forward, wrinkles mapping stories across his face. "Forgiveness is a journey of many steps," he said, his voice steady. "It often begins with acknowledging the pain that has been caused." The elder brother felt tears prick at the corners of his eyes. "We recognize our part in causing hurt, and we bear the scars of our choices. We do not ask for easy paths, but for the chance to confront the shadows of our actions." The elder nodded thoughtfully. "To ask for such forgiveness requires a great deal of strength. But tell me, do you also seek forgiveness from yourselves? Are you ready to share the burdens you carry?" The question struck deep within their hearts, forcing both brothers into a reflective silence. As the crowd watched, a profound stillness enveloped them. The younger brother's mind raced. He thought of the times he had faltered, the promises he had broken to himself, as much as to others. Forgiving oneself is perhaps the most daunting task of all, he admitted, his voice trembling. But it is the key to moving forward, isn't it? Another voice joined in, weaving through the silence. Indeed, it is. A villager spoke with compassion. Recognizing our flaws does not diminish us. It makes us human. And so, under the protective canopy of the grove and the watchful eyes of their community, the brothers began to share their truths, unearthing the pain they had tucked away. With every word spoken, they felt an unseen weight lift, replaced by the warmth of acceptance, as the sun began to set, casting long shadows over the gathering. The father looked upon his sons with pride. This acknowledgement of their past and each other's hearts was but a step toward the healing they sought. Yet questions still lingered in the air. What other burdens must be lifted? What revelations awaited them in the journey of forgiveness yet to unfold? The grove, still bearing witness, thrummed with life. In that moment, all could feel Ida divine truth pulsing beneath the surface. What foundational stories were waiting to be unearthed, hidden in the hearts of the villagers? And would the brothers be prepared to face the depths of their own spirits, even as they sought to restore what had been lost? As night descended upon the village, painting the world in hues of deep indigo, the air crackled with an electric anticipation. The prodigal son stood at the edge of the gathering, beside his father and older brother, all drawn together by the threads of emerging forgiveness and the promise of renewal. This wasn't merely a reunion. It was a moment steeped in the sacred art of reconciliation. The father beckoned them to close their eyes just as they had done in the grove. Feel the pulse of life around you, he urged, for this moment is a gift, echoing through eternity. The brothers turned inward, their hearts racing in rhythm with the whispers of the evening breeze. With a voice filled with grace, the father continued, "Tonight, we must confront our pasts, not only to seek absolution, but to embrace the fullness of who we are." His words danced through the air, igniting the embers of urgency in the hearts of those who listened. The villagers gathered closer, their expressions a tapestry of curiosity and compassion. "Now is the time for honest confessions," the father urged softly. "Let us pour forth what weighs upon our souls, for only then can the winds of mercy carry us onward." The younger son, emboldened by the moment, stepped forward. "I come burdened with shame," he began, his voice raw and honest. "For so long, I chose the path of frivolity, driven by the hunger for worldly desires. I wandered away, seeking fulfillment in fleeting pleasures, but all I found were chains. I hurt those I loved, especially my father." He paused, gaze steady yet filled with vulnerability. "I ask for forgiveness, not to erase the past, but to acknowledge my mistakes and learn from them." The wave of understanding swept through the villagers, some nodding knowingly, their own stories mirroring the echoes of the prodigal's path. With the air thick with empathy, the father stepped forward once more. "Forgiveness is a balm, not just for the offender, but for the offended, for it frees the spirit from the agony of resentment. There is healing for us all in this journey." The older brother, feeling the warmth of connection sweep across the crowd, took a deep breath, his heart beating a rapid tattoo against his chest. "And what of me?" He stepped into the light, eyes glistening with emotion. "I wore the weight of duty like armor, believing that to be righteous meant I had to be without fault. Yet in my heart, I bore silent wounds, resentment towards my brother's choices, and a longing for recognition." He paused, voice trembling. "I fear that my hard work has gone unnoticed, but I see now that I was just as lost in my pride. I ask for forgiveness for holding on to my bitterness, for closing my heart to connection, and for believing it was my duty alone that earned love." The village was silent, wrapped in the gravity of their confessions. In that moment, the father stepped forward, arms open wide. "Let this moment mark the beginning of our metamorphosis," he declared, his voice vibrant and alive with hope. "Acknowledgement is the root of healing. Together, we will carve a new path, one grounded in empathy and grace." Amidst the stillness, a ripple of energy coursed through the crowd. Two villagers, who had witnessed the hardship in both brothers, stepped closer. In sharing your stories, you've awakened something within us all. One woman spoke, her voice steady and clear. Each of us carries burdens of our own, threads of regret. Yet we desire to find reconciliation. To a T that the gathered villagers began to share their own stories of pain, of wrongs committed, of misunderstandings. What began as a gathering for the prodigal son blossomed into a community-wide catharsis, each story flowing seamlessly into the next, creating a sacred circle of vulnerability and truth. As night deepened, illuminating their faces with the soft glow of torches. A unified hum filled the courtyard, a soft melody that echoed prayers of forgiveness and love into the starlit sky. In unity, they lifted their voices, not as separate entities burdened by the past, but as a tapestry of shared humanity, woven together by the threads of imperfection and grace. Forgiveness is not an end, the Father reminded them, voice resonant with wisdom. It is a new beginning. We are reborn through the act of acknowledging the pain we've caused and the strength found in restoring our bonds. As the moon cast its gentle light over their gathering, each villager felt a shift within themselves, a daring step away from being defined by their pasts. They were called to be architects of their futures, co-writers in a story filled with promise and second chances. Together, they would mend the fractures of their community, embracing the wounds that had long tethered them to sorrow. As dawn approached, the first tendrils of light painted the horizon, and the Father turned to his sons. Let this night remind us that the spirit of compassion shines brighter than any darkness we've faced. The brothers nodded, their hearts fuller, their pasts now imbued with purpose. And so, their story continued, a testament that through the threads of vulnerability, every soul could stitch a new beginning, lighting a path not only for themselves, but for generations yet to come. In whispered reverence, the dawnlight broke, bringing forth the truth that redemption isn't solely the destination, it is the journey shared together, marked by open hearts and kindled hope, an embrace of the divine, unraveling within each of us. Each step forward would echo in eternity, shaping a legacy of love that resounded beyond the village, rippling into the weary souls who craved the warmth of compassion and understanding, just as they had once sought it for themselves. And in that truth lay the power to inspire faith that can move mountains, heal hearts, and unite even the most fractured of families, ushering them into a promised land of peace, joy, and unyielding love.